The chains clanged softly against the damp stone floor of the holding cell as I shifted my weight for the 100th time, every muscle screaming from the hours I'd spent kneeling. Outside the narrow slit of a window, the alien sky was still a bruised violet, but the first faint threads of gold were creeping along the horizon. Dawn, the hour she had named. Her voice still echoed in my skull from yesterday's tribunal, cold and absolute: execute him at dawn. The words had fallen like a blade, spoken to the assembled guards without so much as a flicker of hesitation. I was just another human specimen, a curiosity from the stars who had dared to speak back, to refuse submission, to remind them that humanity didn't kneel forever. I could still taste the blood from the last beating they'd given me for that defiance. My lip was split, one eye swollen shut, but I kept my gaze fixed on the door anyway. Waiting. Heart hammering so loud I was sure the guards pacing the corridor could hear it. Every second stretched into an eternity of suspense, the kind that makes a man's skin crawl and his mind race through every possible way this could end. Would they drag me out into the courtyard and make it quick with the plasma lance? Or would they prolong it, the way they love to prolong everything for humans, because we screamed louder, they said. Because we fought harder. Because we made it entertaining. Footsteps. Not the heavy tread of the guards this time. Lighter. Precise. The door hissed open on magnetic locks, and there she stood, Commander Vera, tall and luminous in the half-light, her silver scales catching the glow from the corridor like liquid moonlight. The same woman who had sentenced me. Her crimson eyes, usually flat with imperial indifference, now burned with something I couldn't name. Fear? Regret? Or the same fire I'd seen flicker the night she'd come alone to my cell 2 weeks ago, demanding answers about Earth, about why humans refuse to break? She stepped inside and the door sealed behind her with a finality that made my stomach drop. No guards followed. Just her. Alone. The air thickened instantly, charged with the scent of ozone from her uniform and the faint metallic tang of her species' adrenaline. I forced myself not to flinch as she actually knelt. Level with my chained wrists. You remember what I commanded, she said, voice low, barely above a whisper. It wasn't a question. I swallowed the dryness in my throat. Execute him at dawn. Yeah. Hard to forget the woman who signed my death warrant. Her hand, cool, scaled, impossibly gentle, lifted my chin so I had no choice but to meet those burning eyes. Up close, I could see the tremor in her jaw, the way her pupils had narrowed to slits the way they did when she was fighting some internal war. I gave that order in front of the entire council. They recorded it. Every officer on this outpost heard it. By sunrise, your name will be erased from every log as another failed experiment. My pulse roared in my ears. This was it, the moment before the blade fell. I'd rehearsed a dozen last words in my head. Curses, defiance, maybe even a joke to spit in their faces. But looking at her now, so close I could feel the heat radiating from her skin, the words died. Because there was no triumph in her expression. Only raw, gut-wrenching pain. Then why are you here? I rasped. Come to watch me sweat? Make sure I beg? Her fingers tightened on my chin, not cruelly, but like she was anchoring herself. Because at dawn. I will not be here to watch anything. She leaned in until her forehead nearly touched mine, her breath mingling with mine in the stale cell air. And neither will you. The words hit like a plasma round to the chest. I searched her face for the lie, for the trap, for the imperial cruelty that had defined every interaction since they dragged my ship down. But all I saw was desperation. The same desperation I'd felt when I'd first told her stories of Earth. Sunrises over oceans, laughter in crowded streets, the stubborn refusal of humans to accept chains. She'd listened then, night after night, pretending it was interrogation. Now the mask was gone. They'll kill you for this, I whispered, the realization crashing over me like cold water. Your own people. The Empire doesn't forgive treason. A soft, broken sound escaped her, half laugh, half sob. They already have. The moment I realized I couldn't give the signal. The moment I chose you over everything I was raised to believe. Her thumb brushed the cut on my lip, and the tenderness of it nearly undid me. You humans, you're impossible. You fight when logic says surrender. You love when hatred is safer. You make me question every order I've ever followed. Last night, after the council meeting, I stood in the command tower watching the stars and I heard your voice in my head again. We don't break, Vera. We bend the universe instead. And I knew I couldn't watch you die at dawn. Tears, actual tears, glistened at the corners of her eyes, catching the first true light of sunrise creeping through the window. I'd never seen one of her kind cry. It was more terrifying than any threat of execution. Because it meant this was real. She was risking everything. For me. The corridor outside erupted with the sound of marching boots. The execution detail arriving. My heart slammed against my ribs like it wanted to break free before the rest of me could. Vera's head snapped toward the door, every muscle in her body coiling like a predator. But instead of fear, a fierce, almost feral smile curved her lips. They're early, she murmured. Good. With a flick of her wrist, she produced a small device from her belt, her personal override key. The magnetic locks on my chains released with a soft click that sounded louder than any explosion. Blood rushed back into my hands, pins and needles exploding up my arms, but I barely noticed. She was already pulling me to my feet, her strength surprising even after weeks of watching her command armies. Listen to me, she said urgently, voice dropping to a fierce whisper as the footsteps grew louder. There's a service tunnel behind the waste panel unmonitored since the last raid. My shuttle is prepped on the lower landing pad, cloaked. We have 90 seconds before the guards breach this door. If we're caught. I know, I cut in, grabbing her arms. The contact sent electricity through both of us. If we're caught, they execute us both. Slowly. But Vera, why? Why throw away your life for a human prisoner? She pressed her forehead to mine now, fully, scales cool against my fevered skin. Because the Empire taught me obedience. You taught me what it feels like to be alive. Every story you told me. Your wars, your music, your stubborn, ridiculous hope cracked something open inside me I didn't know was sealed shut. I commanded your death because that's what loyalty demanded. But at dawn, I choose something different. I choose you. I choose us. Her lips crashed against mine then, desperate, hungry, tasting of salt and desperation and the metallic tang of alien tears. It wasn't gentle. It was two souls colliding at the edge of oblivion, pouring every unsaid word, every stolen glance, every sleepless night into one searing moment. My hands tangled in the short crest of her hair, hers gripping my torn uniform like it was the only thing keeping her grounded. The kiss tasted like goodbye and hello at the same time, like the end of one life and the raw beginning of another. The door rattled. Someone outside keyed the override. Vera broke the kiss with a gasp, eyes wild. Now! She shoved the waste panel aside with her shoulder, revealing a narrow black shaft that smelled of rust and freedom. I dove in first, scraping my knees, pulling her after me just as the cell door exploded open behind us. Shouts erupted, confusion, then fury, as guards poured into the empty room. We crawled, then ran, the tunnel twisting downward like the veins of the outpost itself. Alarms began to wail, red emergency lights strobing through grates above us. My lungs burned, every step jarring old injuries, but her hand never left mine. She was faster, stronger, guiding me through turns I couldn't see, her breathing steady even as mine came in ragged gasps. Stay with me, she panted, voice echoing off the metal. Just a little farther. The shuttle. A plasma bolt scorched the wall beside my head, superheating the air. They'd found the access point. Vera spun, drawing her sidearm in one fluid motion, and returned fire with lethal precision. The screams that followed told me she hadn't missed. For the first time, I saw the warrior she truly was, not the cold commander, but the woman who could carve a path through hell for the man she'd chosen. We burst out onto the lower landing pad just as the horizon fully ignited in gold. Dawn. The exact moment I was supposed to die. Instead, the cloaked shuttle shimmered into view under her override signal, ramp lowering like a promise. Wind whipped across the platform, carrying the scent of alien forests beyond the outpost walls. Freedom, if we could reach it. I hesitated for one heartbeat, turning back to look at her. She was bleeding from a graze on her shoulder, silver blood staining her uniform, but her eyes were alive in a way I'd never seen. Radiant. Victorious. "You're really doing this," I said, cracking my voice. "You're gone. With me." She grabbed my face with both hands, pulling me close one last time as the shuttle engines hummed to life. "I commanded your execution at dawn," she whispered against my lips, fierce and trembling. "But dawn came, and I chose life instead. With you. Always with you." We ran up the ramp together as more bolts streaked past, the outpost's defenses waking too late. The hatch sealed behind us with a hiss that sounded like the universe exhaling. Inside, the cockpit lights bathed us in soft blue as the shuttle lifted, banking hard toward the horizon. Through the viewport, the outpost shrank below us, guards swarming like angry insects, alarms painting the sky red. But we were already gone. Rising into the pale gold of a new day, two fugitives from empires and orders and everything that had tried to keep us apart. Her hand found mine again as the stars wheeled above us, and for the first time in months, I wasn't kneeling. I was flying. With her. At dawn, she had been gone. And so was I, right beside her, hearts pounding in perfect, impossible sync. The universe could come for us now. We'd bend it together.